ominous start if you're a de Minaur fan.
15 love.
I suppose one thing I haven't touched on, Petch, is, you know, Carlos is obviously looking very good too, and I've been very, very impressed. I've pretty much covered all his matches with his serve. You know, we've talked about this remodeled serve, but it is holding up very, very well.
Love. Ladies and gentlemen, please do not use flash during the point. Thank you. Love.
Well, the one thing he's got to try and do a little bit of tonight in de Minaur is use the quality off the return and try and find the two-hander of Alcaraz. Don't allow Alcaraz to sit on a ball with his forehand too often off the return. Certainly he does have that ability. But even when he does that, it's not going to be easy for him. He's got the look of a man out here, Fitzy, that hasn't come out here to entertain as sometimes he looks, but to extinguish Aussie hopes.
That ball's coming out of the middle of the strings. First game. He played a wonderful game here. I mean, there's little margin for error in that, and he barely makes one. I mean, as quick as de Minaur is, he defended that as well as he's defended in every other match he's played this week. Carlos beat him by about 4 meters with the next forehand. The racket head speed is something to behold. I wonder whether Alex Wally has got to try to, on his return games, try to maybe make some inroads against the second serve. I mean, this guy's the best player in the world, so it's not simple. Just because you come up with a tactic doesn't mean you can pull it off. Maybe he's got to go after Carlos's second serve a little bit. And on his serve here, he needs a high percentage and try and get the first good hit in, because as soon as Alcaraz does, you're on the back foot immediately.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, that point from Alex was quite a decent point. Good second serve, forehand, low and hard, maybe three-quarter court, not within a metre of the baseline, but three-quarter court. He hits a cold stone winner. I mean, that's frightening to me.
Yeah, it is a little bit scary at the moment, Fitzy. And look, I do agree with you that he'll have to try to take that second serve on occasion, maybe according to the scoreline. But I just, yeah, it's very hard to say there's a definite tactic you can use against Carlos. I mean, his second serve for me has improved enormously over the course of 2026 from what I've seen in the past at the Australian Open, for example. I mean, he's getting genuine bounce off the court. Demon's almost just got to play every ball on its merits, and he might have to soak up a bit of punishment early the way Carlos has started.
15-13.
Going to be interesting to see how often he uses that particular serve.
In the body?
Yeah.
Well, he got a free point there, so you'd use it again, wouldn't you? Maybe not this one, but shortly.
Yeah, I thought that was a let too.
It was. No electronic net cord judge.
Well, he had to play an outstanding point there, de Minaur, to win that. How's the defence from Carlos?
40-30.
Pretty special from Alex on the backhand pass. But that 14.2 kilometre sprint was something else in terms of the speed that he managed to generate there. His foot speed is not quite as quick as his racket work and the velocity of the ball that leaves his strings, but it's still highly impressive.
Yeah, it's the speed of the racket head for me that stands out more than anything else. He gets it from A to B through the ball so fast. Racket head speed generates power.
Sensational. Even if you're a de Minaur fan, you have to admire that.
Advantage, Alcaraz.
This is intimidating even commenting on this. Because, you know, when we all played to a reasonable level, we didn't see anything like this. This is a new way of playing tennis.
It's incredible. It is absolutely breathtaking. De Minaur didn't face a break point in his previous match. Has been broken already, and he's only been broken 3 times in the tournament.
Well, he's come out he's in top gear right from the start. He sees an opening, just goes for it. And the timing, I mean, he doesn't miss-hit a ball. Comes out of the string, and the middle of the strings virtually all the time.
Can't contain that.
I mean, Alex, it's fair to say, started well.
Apart from the first serve percentage, which was low in that game, he obviously offered up a lot of second serve looks.
$15 love.
You reckon that's confidence? 185 on a second delivery. What was that tactic I was going to use, Petch? Attacky second serve?
Eventually, Fitzy, eventually. He's come out unbelievably hot, hasn't he, Alcaraz? Making a real statement here.
Guy's human.
Cain Alcaraz.
That was an exhibition of skill. That was a delight to watch, probably not to play against right now if you're de Minaur, who's trying to get through to the semis of his home Grand Slam. But from a neutral perspective, that was incredible. We were having a look into what Alex could maybe do a little bit more of. I mean, honestly, after that onslaught, I'm not sure what else he can do. But you can see here a very distinct pattern from Alex where he takes his forehand down the line. Look at the groupings of the blue kind of sticks that you can see in your picture here. From the middle of the court, he likes to redistribute into the backhand side of Alcaraz and from way back. The red zone there, where he tends to pull the ball back cross court. And if he's going to keep pulling it from there, Alcaraz, as we can see already, is going to just laser his forehand down the line. Like to see that red zone by the end of this match with a lot more blue sticks in it, where he's trying to take the ball down the line. It is going to come with risk, there's no doubt about it. But what else can you do? First punch landed by the world #1.
It came in the form of a combination.
Not the most comfortable of height for Alex to try and unload on his forehand. He is that flat hitter of the ball, not a huge spin rate on that particular shot. Good use of the slice again from Alcaraz.
Well, everyone has to come off the boil at some stage. It's just for how long? What sort of a window does it give de Minaur? He's not the biggest frame, is he? I mean, he's he's perfectly built, really, with his speed, but the power just comes from the timing and the quickness of the racket head to me. And that was a pretty decent first serve, and he nearly hit a cold winner off it.
We've made a lot about the fact that Sinner kind of topped out the service games won and return games won last season. The first time that any player has been able to top both of those two categories. As Alex puts his first game on the board, and we talk a lot about de Minaur's return, but we should remember that Alcaraz is no slouch in that department. Alcaraz had the best record last year on hard courts in terms of first serve return points won, and he was a few fractions of a percentage point behind Sinner in terms of return games won by the end of the season on this surface.
Love 15.
So the longer the points have gone so far, the more it seems to favour Carlos. I mean, he builds it, and the power cements Alex to the back of the court. De Minaur winning more when they're shorter at the moment. Not more than Alex, but more points from his point of view. Fraction.
Yeah,
that's Carlos.
I think Alex has made him play one extra shot on that opening point of this game that not many players would have done. And listen, the more often that Alex, I feel, can use his slice, it brings the net a little bit more into play, a bit more of an obstacle for Alcaraz. Alex going deeper on the second. Absorbed the +1. It wasn't necessarily about the return, it was about absorbing the +1 from being deeper. Deservedly has 3 break points.
For service.
There's that heaviness of kick that Wally mentioned earlier. It's tough to handle that one, so you might have an intent to try and attack against it, but that's difficult to do.
Interesting decision, Fitzy, that he went up to the baseline, tried to take that second serve on.
And go in. He was heading to the net there, Wally, wasn't he?
Certainly looked that way, Fitzy. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? When you have 3 break points, you sort of say, well, I'll go for the first one. What's my idea on the second one? I've got to make him play. Surely that's his mindset now. Got to make him play.
Great exhibition of the speed of the Australian, and he is quickly back into this opening set. Recovers the break.
Alcaraz leads by 3 games to 2.
Sometimes you'll see those unforced errors coming from opponents against de Minaur, but it's because of this, the quality. Look at this, out there, jams his foot down. He'd recovered position very nicely, and it just confused the shot making for Alcaraz enough that he gets the error. He's always naturally had kind of that modern takeaway on his backhand to de Minaur, which is why as a pretty flat shot on that side, sits into the pocket early, and he's ready to try and absorb the pace coming at him. They came last year and they saw Sinner take care of de Minaur in straight sets. Picked himself up after a difficult period, he said, last year. De Minaur, very dark time for him, kind of just after Wimbledon. One of those moments that great players have, where a little bit of a crossroads, where you wonder whether the dream that you're chasing is just an illusion. But he worked his way through that, picked up the title in Washington, got himself through once again to the quarterfinals of the US Open, a 3rd time he had been to that particular place in New York. What a ridiculous rally.
$15-all.
Not lacking in speed or athleticism, is he?
Oh, that's an extraordinary get. I just couldn't believe he could hook that back into play just long. That's probably the first clean winner Demon has hit. He's made very few errors, and Carlos, he's made 11 or so errors. He's hit a lot of winners, but he came out on the red line and he was executing, but Demon he's not tried to match him. He's serving within himself. He's just absorbing the pace when he has to. Positive signs.
Taking Wally's advice.
Awesome from Alex. Some of the best tennis you'll ever see.
40-15.
And it seems like this is what it takes. You have to elevate your game to this level to start being competitive.
Let first service.
The applause is the accolades he deserves, having trailed 3-love after a blistering start from Alcaraz. Pulls up alongside the Spaniard.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Love 15.
Well, I love the play, but I'm not sure how often you can get away with that. First serve, it's a forehand approach off the first serve. There's some serious foot speed out here, isn't there?
Well, some of the best strategy in its execution versus the best players can rest on a knife edge between complete failure and utter triumph, because you do have to run the red light often to put them under pressure, and Alex doing such a good job of that right now. Ambushed him on the opening point, and he's got Alcaraz on the back foot.
He's trying to attack the second serve, isn't he? That's a plan there, Wally. He's trying to hit it, take it, and come in.
Yeah, well, I guess he's got such efficient swings, hasn't he? And they're quite linear, so he's just taking a lot of time away from Carlos. That didn't miss by too much. You know, for me, just watching Carlos here, it's almost like he's just got to put his ego aside. He's overplaying. It came off beautifully in the first couple of games, but Demon's foot speed is negating his best shots. The balls are getting heavier. Carlos has just got to take it back a notch.
What makes winning possible tonight against Alcaraz also makes it dangerous, those unforced errors, but he has got to pull the pin out when he sees the opportunity. He's talked about it in a great documentary on the ATP Tour website.
Here comes the competitive beast. Doesn't like the fact he's lost the last 3 games. I love the fact that Demon is standing in on the second serve. I mean, that's made a bit of a difference here. He's getting the ball back quickly and not allowing Carlos to hammer the first ground stroke as much.
Love that from Demon as well. That was the phantom approach. Because he's come in so effectively already, he kind of put one foot in the court but didn't come in. Alcaraz thought he was coming and went for too much risk on the backhand. He's got the world #1 thinking. Having him thinking won't be enough to get the win tonight, but it is certainly a start in the right direction. What an arm wrestle that particular game was. Alcaraz survives the onslaught himself this time, 4-3. "33 minutes, Wally." That's what makes this sport so beautiful, doesn't it? It's the cut and thrust of the sport where you're on the back foot and then suddenly you find a way to be on the front foot.
Yeah, and I guess, look, ultimately, Petch, sometimes you just got to make balls. I mean, some of those balls that Demon tracked down were pretty amazing gets. He didn't get them back with a lot of quality, but just making one more ball drew a few more errors. And Carlos, you know, he's at 12 unforced errors at this point, and that's how Demon has got himself back in. It's probably his foot speed as much as anything that's done the damage. But I like the look on Demon's face. Even when he came out on court, he looks calm. He doesn't look as though he's sort of overly aroused and going to try to play too big on the big occasion. And he has made some great forays into the net. Pretty happy to see that.
I know Alcaraz has won their previous 5 meetings, but watching these two go head-to-head on a tennis court is a little bit like going on a tennis treasure hunt. There is so much to uncover as you go through the contest. Alcaraz looking for solutions, little frustrated.
Went to the box. So he's got his attention, Alex. That's the first step. New balls here.
The one thing that Demon's speed takes away from Alcaraz is the drop shot. It is a shot that wins him so many contests. It keeps players off balance, closer to the baseline, but already in the opening 34 minutes, yet to see one from Alcaraz.
Well, he'll play it when he's got time. And I think standing in a little bit by de Minaur is taking that advantage away to a degree at the moment. We'll see it at some stage. Bit of his own medicine there, Carlos taking that early.
Love 13.
And when you stand up near the baseline and return, the ball's back very quickly.
Is it noticeable, Wally, with the new balls that it's flying through the air quicker?
Yeah, and there's still plenty of residual heat from the day too. It's pretty lively, Petch. You know, you would think 9 o'clock in the evening things would be getting heavier, but it's not the case.
I've heard a cool change has just gone through the suburbs.
In my mind, that's a better play from Alcaraz. Just hitting with a little bit of weight, getting the ball to jump, making Demon work hard to get behind it. I mean, he was absolutely on the red line and he jumped to that 3-love lead, but it wasn't sustainable. I mean, he's got to play hard court tennis with a clay court mentality against Demon. More shape on those two forehands.
And some more chances to break.
Esa es la actitud, Carlos.
Well, the great separator between him and Tommy Paul in the previous round was that shot, the forehand cross court. They weren't living in the same zip code. And the same today.
Just the margin, though, of Alcaraz off the ground now has changed completely. It's higher, it's heavier, it's a different shape of shot. And Fitzy, you're like a human barometer, because I can pretty much tell you that I can feel a cool breeze within the stadium now. And as we know, when the wind comes up from the south, it hits the back of the stadium, and it's just favouring Demon here ever so slightly as Alcaraz serves for the set.
Wally, I had an unfair advantage. My wife told me. Well, used as a change-up. It'll be debatable how many times he will use it as a change-up after that. I like the thought process, though.
He was trying to counter the deeper court position on return from de Minaur.
For service. Love 13.
And this is where the breeze can make a difference. Demon's forehand there was not hit spectacularly hard, but it just got a little bit of wind assistance. Carlos couldn't get behind it.
I mean, Demon's hitting the ball harder tonight than any other match he's played this week. Surely. I mean, he has to. You just can't hit it with the safety factor that you normally do against this guy, because it comes back with interest. So he's pushing the envelope, but has to do that, de Minaur. Well, you were waiting for that first drop shot, mate.
Took 41 minutes, and that's the reason why it's taken 41 minutes.
15,
because
14.
it has to be so good, so delicate. You have to rob the ball of the bounce, because if you don't, the Aussie's going to be there.
I mean, that was a good drop shot too, by the way. The foot speed of de Minaur, incredible.
Up he stays this time.
And it got Alcaraz's attention. He took his time there. He was trying to work out what second serve he was going to hit against Alex standing up so close, and he hit it perfectly, didn't he?
Yeah, he hit a thunderbolt. His average for the tournament, 168. That was well above average, 179. Was unique and out of this world. The Australian breathes new life into this opening set and breaks back again.
Alcaraz leads by 5 games to 4.
Did say it was a little bit like going on a tennis treasure hunt when you watch these two. There is always something to admire, something a little bit different because of the styles of play. And de Minaur just caught him out here. He took it on the right. That is one of the hardest shots in tennis.
With the giraffe kick in midair, you have to do something extraordinary, don't you, to compete and then have a chance to beat Alcaraz at his best. That's what he did there. A unique backhand, as you said.
Well, look at where Alcaraz is in the picture. He's waiting for the one back cross court because he thinks that's the only option Alex has.
Yeah. High risk, high reward.
Well, there was a shot that makes the fans in the back row feel as though they're in the front. It was that good. Australia erupts, and they still might celebrate.
You go back to that game, the first return, the speed to the drop shot, and then that shot, the backhand in the air. I mean, that's 3 pieces of magic. But that's sometimes what it takes to break Carlos.
Left, first service.
You talk about Demon and the strength that he's built over the last couple of years. I mean, earlier in his career, that high, heavy ball was not something he enjoyed. He didn't enjoy creating his own pace. But that was incredible how hard he hit the ball from 2 feet in the air.
I think that backhand he hit to break was the best shot I've seen this Open. I mean, the difficulty factor there in the air, changing the direction of a heavily spun ball from across court, phenomenal.
And did you see that forehand he just missed? I mean, there were times earlier in his career that was actually not, he didn't enjoy the slower ball. He preferred the ball coming on to redirect. I mean, he did mistime that one a little, but these days he can definitely create his own pace.
Alex's speed makes it a little harder for Carlos at times to sit in a cross-court exchange. He is very nervous about going back cross-court a little too often and allowing de Minaur the opportunity, he himself, to go line. And you could see there.
That's where he wants to come in. Forehand, line. Not out of the woods here. As well as he's played, he's 2 points from losing this set.
30.
Crucial now.
Such a smart forehand from Alcaraz on the run on the forehand back through the middle of the court. It just took away all the geometry that Alex was hoping he was going to get given back.
Well, that's why Wally said he needed more margin. He's hit two tapes here that's cost him in this game.
Use.
Won 5 titles last year with just Samuel Lopez on his back.
Advantage de Minaur.
Well, at 3-love, I didn't see this scoreline coming.
5 games all.
What a first set de Minaur's played here. And it's not over.
That arguably one of the best points that he's played in this opening swell on such a big moment to get himself to 5 apiece. And because he has blended his forehand into Alcaraz's forehand, you could see the Spaniard a couple of times was a little late getting across to his backhand to defend out of it, and it kept Alex on top of the point. Can we just talk about the racket work on Alcaraz's drop shot on the backhand side, please?
Well, I'm almost out of superlatives, but pure skill. Hands of a feather.
Yeah, but Demon, he's just making him play more and more shots. And, you know, Carlos is looking down to his crew again. I mean, Demon's inside his head.
I think that's very true, but the skill of that drop shot was extraordinary. Well, I'm just watching Mark Petchin here shake his head with disbelief at some of the shot making.
Yeah, look, the tennis had sort of reached more sane proportions until this last couple of games. I mean, it was starting to become a little more rational, a little more pragmatic. But Demon's forehand in that last game, and you know, Carlos should never have had to hit that drop shot. That scrambling lob Demon hit. There's not many people in the tournament would have got that back.
40 love.
Mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, this encounter so far
Alcaraz
over the first 11
6
games.
games to 5.
And you know what? The thing I probably love about Alcaraz more than anything else, including the shot making, is the disarming kind of smile he has when he maybe misses one or you hit one, and it kind of, you think, well, you should be worried. And you'll see the end of here with this unbelievable bit of racket work on the drop shot. There was a moment there when he got to 30 love in this last game where he just started smiling, like there's nowhere else in the world I would rather be than here.
Yeah, most of us treat it as a debilitating pressure. He treats it like it's
Time.
one of the joys of life, which it is for him. But if you've got this skill, why isn't it joyful? Of course it is. Carlos smiles a lot when he, I think, surprises himself with some of the skills and shot making he comes up with. And then that probably relaxes him for the next one. Still getting coached from the corner. As Wally said, Alex de Minaur has his attention here.
Some violation, warning, de Minaur.
Yeah, that felt incredibly harsh.
He was about to serve, literally pull the trigger.
Either Azdaraki more.
So Alex is being defended by Carlos.
Yeah, Carlos said, I'm not ready. I wasn't ready.
Elliot Spazzeri did the same thing in his match against Jannik Sinner. This set has had everything, and the one thing it hasn't felt is slow.
No, and you know, it's a tough gig though. You know, I'm one to criticise the slowness of play, and I think most of the time the umpires don't call the shot clock early enough. So the one time she does it, we're all sort of jumping on it, but I don't blame the umpires for trying to keep it moving. But maybe she might have just got that one a little, got on the front foot a fraction there. Gee.
Love 30.
With all the excitement, all of a sudden, if it goes flat for 2 points, it can cost you the set. Look how he laughs. It's so relaxing for him.
Imagine looking down the other end from at 6-5 in the opening set, quarterfinal major, and that disarming smile is on his face. Well, I'd also be smiling if I knew I had that up my sleeve.
40.
He opened the door, and more often than not, this man will invite himself in. That serve has been deadly for Alex in getting through to the last 8 at the Australian Open, and he trusts it again.
It's a big moment.
Yes.
Pretty much exclusively he's gone down the tee on this due side. One into the body. And you got to be careful about being too predictable. It was a little bit of a surprise that Alcaraz missed the one at 1540.
Tell you what, though, it's a daunting thought to go with that second serve wide to the Alcaraz forehand too.
One of the most incredible set points you will ever see. A set that has absolutely everything. De Minaur has brought the best out of the...
Tommy Hearns. That's a long time ago, Wally.
No let off, no let down. And De Minaur pressing early in the second.
Love 15. Love 30.
It's also rare you can play to such a level for one full set and you don't have a mini letdown. That's rare. First 2 points have shown no signs.
Yeah, you usually go through like a 15-minute kind of period of sort of undertow, don't you? And you kind of get a little nostalgic about what just happened in the opening set or the set that you just watched. As you say, Alex has come out here. He is razor sharp. That was the first conservative shot I feel that he has played in a while.
30.
Yeah, well, he didn't laser it, did he? Like and he had a bit more spin on this one. He had to flatten that out more, deeper in the corner. He didn't go close enough to the line. It's a fine line if you don't do that.
Forty, 30.
The forehand continues to deliver the hurt and rescue the situation for Alcaraz at times.
I've got a feeling Alex is not happy with some information he's received, because he's giving the evil eye here to the corner. You rarely see that with him.
Was so close in his last quarterfinal, wasn't he, Fitzy, to potentially getting across the finishing line, grab the opening set against Auger-Aliassime. Actually had a set point in the second. He was a break up in the second. Could have gone 2 sets to love up there. Was a break up in the fourth before losing that, also on a breaker against the Canadian. But it hasn't been the fact that he doesn't know how or hasn't played well. I mean, you look at the people he's lost to. Dominic Thiem, 3 in the world, when Thiem went on to win the US Open in 20.
You know, the back... Go ahead.
No.
The backhand of Alcaraz gets more angle, doesn't it? It's significantly more angle and creates... creates a situation where Alex has to move more. But de Minaur's backhand can't quite get the same angle across court. Not from that backhand corner. So he uses more of the court, does Alcaraz, with that shot.
Yeah, you make a good point, Fitzy. They are 2 double-handers, but they are 2 very different double-handers. And you can see here, in terms of the spin rate, de Minaur a much flatter ball, 1.374. So therefore, it is going to be a little more linear. Whereas at almost 2,000 RPMs on that 2-hander of Alcaraz, he's going to be able to generate spin that can cut through the singles line and take de Minaur off the court.
Guys, you know, a big part of the reason Demon plays the way he does is his father was fascinated by the generation of Australians, Laver, Hode, Rosewell, Newcombe. And he wanted Demon to play that way. He wanted him to hit the ball flat, hard. He wanted him to come in. He wanted him to play pretty old school. And it was very much in Demon's psyche from a young age.
And let's be honest, it was a pretty good psyche because it's got him to 6th in the world. Not everybody's game is going to always be scalable. Had he played with more spin, he may have been felt a little bit more lightweight and therefore would never have got to 6th in the world.
And Demon has been unbelievably stubborn over the years. He's very, very sure of himself and what he's capable of. And I'm not saying he resists change completely, but You've got to convince him, put it that way.
30. Let for service.
Gee, it's scary if you drop that ball in the middle of the court.
That's where I think, Carlos, that's when I find him scary. When at the start of the match, he was blasting everything, and there was certainly some impressive tennis. But when he plays within himself and he plays with depth, and then all of a sudden he just explodes onto one ball, you know, that's hard to counter.
Advances de Minaur.
And even then, the approach, he has to even risk more on that approach. Against most players, that approach is probably good enough to come in behind and maybe win the point with the volley, but there's just not quite enough on it for Alcaraz. He's too good.
I mean, both of those two forehand approach shots have just been a little too central in the court. I mean, I'd almost argue that if he can go three-quarter or even closer to half court on the angle into the forehand side, you can take Alcaraz off the court, but he's got to break the sidelines to get him.
Yeah, you can't give him a clean hit at that pass.
Advantage, Alcaraz.
Great discipline.
Use.
It's an amazing, amazing return. I will say, though, I still feel as though Alex is at least, even if he loses the point, got to take a second serve out to the forehand side. Just go big, go 180, and just at least try and make Alcaraz not sit there with a two-handed grip looking for it.
He looked like he had so much time on that return, didn't he? That was a pretty darn good second serve.
Everyone has gone there in the same way that on this ad side, everything has gone kind of gone middle of the box. And I knew that coming in because we'd seen the graphics and we'd seen where Alex had been serving. I feel like in a match against somebody like Alcaraz, who has a multitude of ways of hurting you at the very start of the match, you kind of got to give him a couple of curveballs to think, wow, all the data that my team have done to say that this was going to happen is the complete opposite that's happened at the start of the match. It may be that you only kind of throw the misleading serves in early on in the match, and hopefully when you're ahead in the score, but you kind of have to do something.
And guys, I can just say this is a pretty important end now, because that breeze has picked up ever so slightly. It's favouring Carlos. You remember that off backhand he hit for a clean winner?
Can't forget it.
That almost gathered pace in the breeze. It's just that little bit stronger. So holding your serve from the end Demon was just at is going to become a little more problematic.
If we could steal a break back here, that would be fabulous then.
Love 30.
That was rather ambitious, though. For most of us.
Yeah, I think this is the end that Carlos is at, where you can actually toss a few up high with a bit of spin. Demon would have to fight hard, defend it off.
So unlucky.
15,
Not that it
13.
wasn't countered with a bit of brilliance there from Alcaraz. Had he been anything less than hyper aware of the return, it probably would have been triple break point. Despite winning the other point at love 30 with the serve out wide, I wonder whether the quality of the de Minaur return is just going to make him change up his angle of attack on this first serve. Did Alex think that had actually come back on Alcaraz's side? Is that why he stopped running?
Wally?
Yeah, I didn't think it was going over. It just kept floating his Demon in isolation, and that I thought was going to drop back the other way, but don't think he could have got it anyway. It just died upon the bounce.
He hesitated though, didn't he? When
Yeah.
it hit the, normally on these tight let chords, they stay on the same side, and that's what I think Alex thought had happened.
Within touching distance of getting the break back, but Alcaraz keeps de Minaur at bay, and he starts the second set as he did the first. Okay, let's take a look at the animated world of what Alex has been doing on the second serve. This is kind of Fitzy or Wally, whoever wants to jump in here, what I'm saying. We knew this is the same pattern that he's had kind of in the tournament. Yes, it's carried him through to the quarters, but if I'm looking at that and I'm in Alcaraz's camp, that's a comforting feeling.
Yeah, look, Petr, I've got to agree with you. I mean, no percent. I mean, Alex has pretty much got to throw everything that he's got to unsettle Carlos Alcaraz, whether it's a second serve body, a wide serve. Yeah, it probably has to be a little. There was maybe one or two of those serves that were handy body serves, but no, it's probably a little too predictable at this level.
Time.
Good job those Spanish fans have somebody to celebrate. It's been a long time since they had a great Spaniard down here.
Starved, they've been.
Night time in Melbourne, one of the great cities, right on the southern windowsill of the beautiful state of Victoria. It's not a great state on the scoreboard for Alex de Minaur for the time being. Down a set and 3-love. He recovered nicely in the first, pushed Alcaraz to the brink. He's going to have to do something similar here.
$15-11.
Gee, Fitzer, you would think that they could put an Aussie net in here for the Australian.
Something advantageous.
Couple of tough bits of fortune going against de Minaur. It's a great example of what you were talking about, but it's kind of in the mirror because it's his forehand, but it's a similar story with the spin rates, is that there's Alcaraz being able to break the sideline so effortlessly. It's just a little harder for Alex with his stroke production.
Yeah, well, it's a flatter trajectory. We all know that. It's wow.
Stepped on the gas there.
Yep.
It always gets harder the deeper you go into these tournaments. That's why it's still such a phenomenal effort for Alex to achieve what he has at the majors. But here you go. You can see how much harder it is for him to win this match. First serves unreturned up to this stage in the quarterfinals, 42% against the world's best, 23. He's got to win a lot more points from the back of the court. Well, the other thing that kind of you lose a little bit when you watch Alcaraz a lot is the sheer pace. That last forehand looked effortless, and it was 165.
You know, Petch, you know that graphic where the blue lights, they light up at each hit point where it hits the court?
Yeah.
I'd like to see one where the second bounce would have landed because, yeah, it's so different with Alcaraz. When it hits the court, it takes off. And as a consequence, Demon's got to work so hard just to get behind it.
Yeah, so that's the spin rate, isn't it? It's like a Super Ball.
Yeah.
Jumping off. It's like a hand grenade coming at you.
Yeah, and then even that second bounce when he hooks that ball cross court that you've been talking about, Fitzy, yes, first bounce, but where that second ball would bounce is extraordinary.
Best sport in the world.
Yeah, this crowd is seeing some special stuff. They really are.
Advantage, de Minaur.
So this is the end where Demon's got a little wind advantage. Now, hang on here. He's still down a break, but Carlos will have to serve against the breeze. The balls are getting fairly heavy before the next change. This is just a little window he's got to try to take advantage of.
Game, de Minaur. New balls, please. Alcaraz leads by 3 games to 1.
Dug in as he always does. And just circling back to his quarterfinal record. Lost to team in 2020. Dominic was 3 in the world at that time. Lost to Zverev at Roland Garros in 24 on the clay. Zverev was 4 in the world. His next visit to a quarterfinal was at Wimbledon in 24. Couldn't play because of the hip injury that he'd sustained in the previous round. then lost at the US Open in the quarters to Jack Draper. He was 25, but he was just about to come into himself. Sinner again last year, who was one in the world, and then Auger-Aliassime, who's been a top tenner and is super dangerous on fast courts. He is not, and you're not supposed to have it easy once you get through to the quarterfinals. But those are some very, very high-profile names. Another one tonight. He's hit that from your home city, Wally.
Can you just explain to me how that went in?
Not often that Alcaraz gets blindsided by brilliance, but he has done there.
I'm not quite sure what spin Demon had on that forehand. It was sort of half top spin, half Demon spin. It was almost sliding inside out.
Explain Demon spin.
It was unique to him.
Demon's not the only unique bloke here in this situation. One W Masseur.
We were talking a little bit about it last night in the Shelton Rood match, that maybe Casper, who was really struggling against the first serve of Ben, should have come back. It doesn't feel like it's a good idea because you open up the angles, but when you do come back, and if you can get your racket on it, you do have more of the court to angle your return in, which was no question a speculative return from de Minaur on the first one, but he did utilize the angle that was afforded because of the depth he was at.
Oh.
Well, normally probably would have opened the face there on the forehand and pushed it deep towards the baseline and the sideline preferably, but I bet he changed his mind there because he thought that wasn't going to be good enough against Alcaraz. So he changed, went for the topspin, overplayed it.
He was almost too fast, Fitzy. I mean, he was charging into that ball with so much forward momentum.
Demon speed.
He was.
Oh.
Is he quick? Darn right he is.
You know, the power is unbelievable, obviously, from both these players. The speed is unbelievable. But I'm enjoying some of the subtleties. I mean, we're seeing a nice little rally here. But even in the middle of that rally, Carlos just played a defensive chip to stay in the point, just floated it back in. I mean, there's silky skills to go along with the power hitting and the speed.
One thing Wally loves is a nuance.
Alcaraz.
Yeah, there's been a bit of dynamite and delicacy from two of the world's best tennis mixologists. It is, however, the world's best at the moment that's concocting the right formula. So demon spin, demon speed. Is there a third one that he can find, Wally? Where are we?
He might need to find it. I'm not sure what it is, what that next dimension is, Petch, but he might have to find it because...
a third dimension.
I mean, Carlos came out just throwing all sorts of heavyweight punches. Demon absorbed it. He hustled and he fought his way back into that first set. But Carlos, for me now, has settled into more of a natural rhythm where he's heavy, he's pretty safe off the ground, he's defending when he has to, and then when he finds that one moment to sort of explode onto a shot, he is, or, you know, play the drop shot and create a little magic, and then, you know, the big serve on that occasion. So he's looking very, very good at the moment, Alcaraz. The demon has not gone away, and it's only one break here in the second.
Every single changeover has had the same feel tonight. It has had that sort of moment in great tennis matches where you actually are just kind of reliving what you're seeing and thinking. Some changeovers, they feel as though they're going on forever. But the ones tonight have given you just a little moment to savor what has been a magnificent opening 90 minutes.
Love.
Oh.
Guys, just out of interest, what would happen if the electronic line calling went down? I felt like there was a big delay on that first serve.
There tends to be a team of officials that are loitering around if they can't fix it quickly enough. I don't believe you've been reading your emails, Wally, because you're on it.
Loitering, officials loitering.
Yeah, that's what I'm led to believe. Let's hope we don't have to find out whether I'm right or wrong.
Loitering officials.
Oh.
Alex de Minaur. Alcaraz leads by 4 games to 2.
Well, Demon needed that, just a little breather on serve there. Races through that game with a few errors. So can he just maintain a little bit of momentum, jag this first point?
One little moment of relief for him, really. I mean,
yeah.
So hard to hold your serve, and a quick one is handy. Serving with the breeze, though, now. Right, Wally?
Slight, definitely slight, yep. It sort of comes and goes at the moment. It feels quite calm. At times, it has been a bit heavier.
15, love.
Oh, he got a bit lazy there on that one. Unusual.
Well, Demon has the most unusual trajectory. I mean, that thing just comes in hard and flat and low, and if you can get it close to the baseline, it's tough to deal with. Have a look. Stays particularly low, and you're not afforded much time.
Against
Alcaraz, he never has that nice option of just luxuriating in the lead in a rally. He's always kind of reacting to what the Spaniard's doing. Even when he got him out wide, he was worried about what the response was going to be.
Yeah, that's power that does that to you. Yeah.
Great response from de Minaur, and that's so important to get depth on that ball down the middle, because Alcaraz wanted to stay on top of the point. Just maybe for once didn't respect the quality from his opponent and had to hurry the forehand.
There's a famous young lady, Daniela de Toro. I hope she sees herself on the screen. I think she did, yeah. Just got inducted into the Wheelchair Hall of Champions tonight. One of the leaders of wheelchair tennis.
So in this game, it's been two heavy flat forehands from Demon right down the centre of the court that have done damage for Alcaraz, and on that occasion it was a hard flat backhand down the centre of the court. Just staying low, coming through quickly.
Hasn't crushed and rushed for a while.
Wow. Well, that was quite extraordinary, because he made the move. He made a move the wrong way there, Alcaraz. Just for a split second, he leant to his left during that rally.
Alcaraz.
The speed of foot to get back and defend with almost a squash forehand, and then the next shot he hits that and sets up this. Wow. Doing nothing wrong from de Minaur's point of view, and he still loses that point.
Many argue that defense is more important than an attack, and Alcaraz proved it on the previous point. And then he angles his attack to perfection. A game away from a 2-sets-to-love lead. Tattoo of his first triumph at the US Open back in 2022, when he also became the world #1. He has tattooed his name already in the Hall of Fame at the age of 22. It is phenomenal.
Time.
Some of the best tennis moments in the course of a year are made at the first major of the season. and some of the matches that this sport needs are played here in Melbourne, and this is one of those nights right now. De Minaur pushing Alcaraz hard.
Love 15. $15 all.
Intensidad, intensidad. Vamos. Atenta ahí. Venga, rasca un poco.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah. And that's what you're saying. Alex hadn't crushed and rushed.
But he also knows where it's going. He knows it's going to come to his backhand, so it makes the crush and rush even easier.
Yeah. Starting to get a look on his face that he hasn't had, Alex, which is questioning his box on what to do next.
Yeah. Give the crowd something so they can give him something back.
30 all.
Can just find a way out of trouble here. You just never know. It's never easy serving a set out, particularly against one of the great returners in the game. There's a little psychological pressure. Can he find his best to keep Alcaraz at bay?
Use.
He answers in the affirmative for now.
Advantage Alcaraz. Game and second set. Alcaraz.
Well, it looked
By
like one-way
6
traffic,
games to
but
2.
in the end, just 6 more points that Alcaraz took compared to De
Alcaraz
Minaur
leads by
in that
2 sets to
second
none.
set.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, Fitzy, I just want to say sometimes I think, you know, strategy and analysis and statistics, they're valuable, but they don't inform you of the whole picture. I mean, they're a broad brushstroke. And then when you get out on the court, you've got to react to what's in front of you. And, you know, probably the fact that he hasn't mixed his serve up enough, I mean, that's something for a start. But, you know, when I watch this match, I'm side on, but I'm watching just the shape of shot from Carlos. He has more shape. Seems like he's just that little bit safer. And then when he does explode, yeah, the difference is phenomenal. So he's got that gear to go up to in any given rally. And in that second set, he probably got a little lucky on a couple of points. There was a few net calls that went his way. Even that last point, he mishit. It floated on the line. But Demon just has to be patient and not look to his box, just look within. You know, he's a bit of a road runner. He's just got to make as many balls as he can, absorb as much punishment as he can. But, yeah, the first serve percentage for me, it's got to improve.
Yeah, well, he's certainly given the evil eye a bit to Adolfo Gutierrez, his coach, and I mean, Leighton's sitting right next to him too, but I don't know whether it's suggesting, well, you give me the wrong information, or whether it's just that he needs something to look at when he's under so much pressure. I'm not sure which, but you don't often see him chastise his box.
He's a great match player, Demon.
Yeah,
you know, it's
sure
yes, you've got a general idea of what you're trying to do and trying to break down, but if it's not working out, there's got to be plan B, plan C. As Pet suggested, you know, we looked at that graphic there. That was probably after the first set. There'd been no second serves to the forehand. I mean, there's just little things that Demon has to explore every part of the court and every part of his game now. It's not a question of I'm going to do this and that will win the match. It's not that simple.
It's a mighty big mountain to climb too, isn't it? Being down 2 sets to love. Hard enough to start on an even keel. And his body language has changed for me a little bit now.
Yeah, the man with the arguably some of the greatest wheels out there. Those tyres are looking a little deflated currently. Yeah, and if he doesn't land the down-the-line shot perfectly in terms of length and pace, this man is just deadly on the perimeter of the court as much as he does most of his work right in the middle and redistributes the ball and makes you move. When you move him, if you don't do it correctly, it's the same outcome.
There's Luke Seville there on the right.
And Daria?
Yes. Happily married couple. Hey, Luke's a South Australian, Petch. He's a good man.
Just going to leave that hanging.
Oh.
From Cobb Dogler in South Australia. Gee, it's changing, isn't it? It is like his tyres have been deflated a bit here, Demon. It's sort of heartbreaking from a tennis perspective from his point of view. I mean, he's thrown everything he's possibly got at this guy. And he's down 2 sets.
And then he feels as though he's got to go a little closer to the line. He doesn't have the kind of shape of shot that Alcaraz does. And as great as he is, sitting inside the world's top 10, there is a talent gap.
Yeah. You could see his preparation there. He delayed the preparation, and in his mind, it just ticked over that I'm going to really go after this one, and he just overplayed it.
He's got to purge the anger somehow here, and the best way to do that is to get after his shots and just kind of dig in. He's got to try and make Alcaraz's life a little uncomfortable and be a disruptor in the next sort of 10 minutes or so, or this is going to be a straight run for the Spaniard to the semis.
Well, he's on a quest to become the 9th player in history in the men's game to win all 4 major championships. There's only 8 so far. He's one Australian Open win away. Two loose ones.
Just before your DMs get too flooded, you're talking men's. Yes. 8 men.
I said men's.
Oh, you did say men's. Good, just checking. We just don't want you to know how big you are on social media and all of those platforms.
Oh, huge, huge. And I mentioned 8 players in the history of the men's game. Wow. He started to crush that backhand, hasn't he?
How good has that 3/4 length backhand been tonight?
Well, he almost took that on he took it on the rise, and to control that's even harder.
Well, I was actually happy with this shot from Demon because he flighted it. So I think, yes, you're buying a little bit of time. You get another hit at it. But there's that angle that he creates. Lots of left hand.
Yeah, it's the left hand, isn't it?
Produced beautifully, exports misery.
He's had a loose game, though, overall.
30-40.
Well, I guess that what that says to us, Fitzy, is how sort of locked in and how he concentrates for long periods of time to establish a lead. And like anybody, breathes a sigh of relief when he gets in the lead and the concentration just dips slightly.
Let's press service. Let's press service.
Well, that's so unlucky. In flight, honestly, it looked as though it was going to land on the runway that he was attempting to put it on. Oh.
Do you remember set point, the previous set? Carlos's ball, very similar ball flight, just landed on the line. It's little margins have not gone Demon's way tonight.
Are you saying that's the difference?
Not the difference, Fitzy, but sometimes when the scoreboard's against you, it feels like it.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Advantage Alcaraz.
It has gone a bit flatter now, though, hasn't it? It's not quite the same intensity. I mean, that was extraordinary for that first 90 minutes. trying to stay in it. Trying to find the adrenaline again.
Advantage Alcaraz.
I don't think Alex could believe he was given such a second chance at that point.
Agree, Fitzy. And he almost got too elaborate with the attempted pass. The one down the line was kind of begging to be hit. Alcaraz just nurturing that volley back. You don't become the world's best player on the planet without being exceptional, and that is another point that just underlines how great Carlos Alcaraz is. 3-love. How good was that, Walt? How good was that point?
Yeah, that was absolutely awesome, and there is nothing that Carlos won't try. So we saw a couple of extravagant errors in that game because he just explores every part of the court and he explores every parameter of his game. I mean, it's quite unbelievable. I mean, how clever was that? Just a little sneaky inside out. I mean, it was a pretty punishing rally. The boys are just smashing the ball at each other. I mean, Demon's hitting with power and depth. Both men are just trading pretty punishing blows right here. And then when you least expect it, I mean, have a look at this. This is great hitting. Great depth. And there it is. Look at that. And look at the spin. Look at the point that it landed. And then the point where Alex made contact. So he absolutely cuts across this ball. There's the bounce. And Demon makes contact outside the tram line. Incredible.
There was a shot in the middle of that rally as well. It wasn't the last one that was just scintillating. He's looking unmoored out here, de Minaur. But it was the discipline that Alcaraz showed on the reset in the middle of that extended rally that just underlines his greatness. Because there is a sense at times that everybody feels that he kind of hits the shot that he just instinctively feels, or it's on compulsion, but there is so much discipline built into Alcaraz's tennis. Legendary stuff out here.
Yeah, we talk about the brilliance of Alcaraz, but you know what strikes me most, just sitting pretty much on the net and just watching the ball go back and forward like a magpie, is the variance in every ground shot that Carlos hits in terms of pace, spin, height, trajectory. It's something that, you know, maybe is not always so tangible when you're watching on the screen, but very, very noticeable when you're sitting on the side of the court. Demon far more consistent in terms of pace and spin.
It's part of the problem. The inside-out forehand, when he goes inside out,
15-13.
doesn't break the sideline often enough, because you've talked about it, Wally Fitzy, as well. It's a very linear hit. So Carlos doesn't have to overcover into his backhand corner. So even if Alex tugs it inside in, he's going to be there in a step and a half, and then he can pull his forehand. So it really does limit kind of the ambition of de Minaur in that situation.
Well, Carlos covers less court because of it.
30 all.
He's just cracking jokes. Oh, to be that good. Very few people would understand, I guess. Certainly not us, Petch. Well, there's that change of pace you've talked about, Mark. It's extraordinary, isn't it? It's third gear until it's...
Goes third to 7.
Yeah.
And he doesn't put a clutch in.
I was going to say 6.
No, he's got 7th gear. There's players out there in the top 10. Alex has got 6th gear. He wouldn't be 6th in the world if he didn't have a 6th gear. Most of the players that operate in the ATP Tour have 5 gears. He's a 6th gear guy. Okay. The guy down the other end's got 7.
Okay, my defence is I only ever drove a 4-cylinder. Yeah, he goes so fast, so quickly.
Advantage, de Minaur.
Well, he was down 3-love in the first 2 sets, so why not make a comeback here?
Thank you.
Got there. He's got game on the board in this third set. And he reignites the crowd's passion for this battle.
So there's a serve volley point. We need to see a few wide serves on second. We need to see a few crush and rush. We need to see a little of everything.
You get the sense when he's talking to Adolfo right now that staying back or coming in, he's feeling like there's no future in either of the plays, and he's trying to search for something that maybe doesn't exist.
Love.
And that again, is a combination of things.
30 love.
Alex had to cover the drop shot there. There was just a momentary sort of hesitation with his split step because he started to go forward, and then Alcaraz came in, who actually wasn't the greatest approach, but because he's hit the drop shot so effectively, de Minaur had to potentially cover it. Consequence of the drop shot sometimes gets lost. It kind of becomes in isolation. How many drop shots did he win? It's actually not the most important number.
What a pass.
Well, he's looking at his camp. Obviously, they've said if you get a chance, come in. And he's looking at them like, well, come on, guys.
And now he does have a wry smile on his face, Wally.
I came in perfectly. I played the perfect volley into the corner. I covered line. Too good. You just have to say too good. And look at the dip. Just as Demon was about to make contact, that ball was dipping.
That is
new balls, please.
One of the best shots that I've seen at this tournament. It must be heartbreaking for de Minaur. He did absolutely nothing wrong. Masterclass loading here from Carlos Alcaraz. Sometimes by the time you've had all the information in a match, the opportunity is gone. I don't feel that that's the case here. He's obviously wanting more information, but you're almost trying to sell smoke here because everything he's done, you know, has been countered at times. There's not one thing that makes Carlos uncomfortable for long enough.
He was uncomfortable a bit at the start, wasn't he? Towards the end of that first set, he was a bit.
But unfortunately, give Wally a bit too much credit. He was right. He was almost like fell in love with his first 3 games, and he could never sustain it. Accumulation of points is heavily in Alcaraz's favour now, just 6 away from picking up a century. And just 2 games away from putting himself in the last 4 here in Melbourne for the very first time in his career. He has showcased his shot-making skills all evening.
Love 15. Love 13.
Well, that's the only option he's got. And people will look at this saying, well, he's getting a little demoralized. He hits the ball too centrally through the middle. He doesn't get enough width to his shot. Alcaraz is on top of the rally. He has to take every inch of the court. There's the one that breaks the line. That's the one that gets through the singles line and forces Alcaraz out there. You're not going to win the point every time, even when you hit it that
15,
well, but that's
15.
got to be the width to the attack, which you haven't seen enough of.
probably just one thing that becomes pretty apparent as the match goes on. And, you know, in so many matches you cover. I mean, even when Alcaraz played Hanfman, you know, he was struggling to get behind the Hanfman serve. It was a big flat first serve, and you know, Demon just he can't get Alcaraz to chip or block. I mean, Carlos has hit over most returns this evening. I mean, that's an extravagant hit, but yeah, that shot that you said, Petch, that he hit inside out and broke the line of the singles court. I mean, he got a blocked floated return. It was one of the few that he's gotten.
He certainly tried to make a statement there to end the game. He's kept Demon in it.
Please. Not up.
One of the greatest players of his generation, unquestionably.
Alcaraz.
And one of the most complete ever. There are shades of so many great players in the way that Alcaraz plays tennis. It's like a homage to the past, to the man that they named this stadium after.
Game, Alcaraz.
So once again, Carlos is able to hit over the return. It's nice and deep. It's down the central corridor. And I suppose if I kind of break this match down, you know, in men's tennis, you think, okay, you need a couple of cheap points a game. What is that? Is it an ace? Is it an unreturnable? Is it a big serve +1? And, you know, Demon, he has not been able to create that dynamic for long periods of this match on his serve. So it's just pressure upon pressure upon pressure.
Love 15. All. Thirty, 15.
It looked like a tool order coming in for the Australian. He's given it everything once again. Second time around, getting through to the quarterfinals. Last year it was the world's best Jannik Sinner that stopped him. This year it's going to be Carlos Alcaraz. Happiness for Alvaro, Carlos's elder brother. And a first visit to the semi-finals in Melbourne for the world #1. And he is looking every inch the world's best.